Before we begin, here's a disclaimer. No hummingbirds were actually harmed during the making of this video or this recipe. If you've ever had a hummingbird cake, then you'll love this easy version of a cookie bar. My absolute favorite cake is a hummingbird cake. My mom used to make it for me every year for my birthday. The recipe comes from Jamaica, and it was named after the national bird, the hummingbird for Jamaica, and it made its way over in the late 70s, and it was sent over by the Jamaican Tourism Bureau as part of a promotion. I discovered this recipe while looking for a cookie recipe, and I decided I'd make it for y'all. This recipe is got all the same ingredients as a hummingbird cake, except you make it in a tray and you don't have to frost anything. Before we get started, I'd really appreciate it if you click the like button and also subscribe to my channel, and then click the little bell so you get a notification when I post a new video. A few things to prep for before we begin is that you want to make sure that your bananas are super ripe. You want to have a little bit of a brown skin on the outside to make them super sweet. Also, you'll want to give yourself at least 2 days to make this, because you'll want this to spend the night in the fridge. It's so much better that way, trust me. This recipe can be made in 2 parts, and that way you don't feel like you're actually slaving in the kitchen. For the spice cookie crust, you want to measure out all your ingredients ahead of time. Preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 180 degrees Celsius, and then butter and flour the inside of your baking tray, which is a 9 by 13 baking tray. Line the baking dish with parchment paper, letting the excess hang over the sides of the dish. This will help when you're lifting the cookie out of the dish. In a medium bowl, add in the flour, sugar, the salt, the cinnamon, and the nutmeg. Stir this together to combine. Add in the cold butter using a pastry cutter or a fork to mix into the flour mixture until it's crumbly. You'll notice that this is a very dry dough mixture. Don't be tempted to add any liquids. There's enough butter to hold this together once it's baked. Tip out the dough mixture into the baking dish, and using a wide spatula, press this into the bottom and try to get it as level as possible. Bake until it's golden brown, or this should take about 40 minutes, and then let it cool completely. I let mine sit out overnight. And now for the topping. For the topping, you'll want to make sure that everything is at room temperature, your cream cheese and your eggs, and give this at least 30 minutes before you get it into the bowl. As with the cookie base, measure all of your ingredients out. This will help move things along. Preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 180 degrees C. I'm using a stand mixer, but you can use a hand mixer. Beat the cream cheese and the sugar at medium speed until it's creamy. This should take about 3 to 4 minutes. You'll want to stop a couple of times to scrape down the bowl. Add in the eggs one at a time. It will look like it won't come together. Scrape the bowl down and keep mixing. Kick up the speed to about medium for about 30 seconds. This should help bring the mixture together. After a few minutes, it will come together, and then fold in the mashed bananas with a spoon or a spatula. Spread this over the cookie base. Sprinkle the pineapple over the top of this. You'll notice these little paper clips on the tray. I should have used them when I was making the cookie base, as it holds the paper in place better. In a medium bowl, combine the coconut, pecans, broken banana chips, and the melted butter. Stir this until everything looks well combined, and then sprinkle that over the pineapples. I realized after baking and cutting that I should have probably pressed into the cream cheese pineapple mixture, the coconut and nut mixture, so that it would be a little bit more set when I was cutting it. Bake until the filling is set, about 35 to 40 minutes. At about 20 minutes, check to see if the top is browning. If so, cover it with foil. Remove from the oven and allow it to cool to room temperature. Cover with plastic wrap and let it sit in the fridge overnight. Using the excess parchment paper, lift the cookie out of the baking dish. You can cut this into any size you want. There's no rules with this. The bars will keep in the fridge for at least a week. Mine won't. Don't worry, I'll eventually get around to making the cake for y'all, but I hope you enjoy making these. Thanks again for watching, and leave me a comment below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. These are so good for the summer because they're cool and the cream cheese is amazing, and it really does remind me of my mom's cake that she'd make for me. Yeah, great memories.